But that doesn't mean that she was set down in Hispanic ghetto in the Bronx and had to deal with that growing up, and that she's comes from a working class family.
It implies that it implies that in some way she's behind the eight ball because of that, and it's just not true. And so
I don't know if she's behind the eight ball, but I don't think she's as privileged as many people who are in Congress right now.
Is that privileged or not? She was a bartender.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a delivery boy.
But I'm saying that you have to give the people who are out front speaking for the party, not the people who are.
If you think
she's evolving,
yeah, she's evolving,
and
as we all are,
and she is moving into She understands the game a little bit more, and if you notice, she is sort of becoming a sort of normal kind of Democrat in many ways.
Bill Maher isn't holding back on this one. He's been openly critical of the idea, warning that putting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at the top of the ticket could end up being a serious problem for the Democratic Party. His take is blunt, direct, and hard to dismiss. If you're into straightforward political commentary with no sugarcoating, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let's get into it.
About the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are, I think because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on Election Day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get the job done.
Nobody denies it. AOC can draw a crowd. When she appears alongside figures like Bernie Sanders or takes the stage at major events, the energy is undeniable. The venues fill up, the supporters get loud, and the momentum feels real. But here's the reality. Big crowds don't win elections. We've seen this before. In the last election cycle, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz filled arenas across the country, generating huge buzz and a sense of unstoppable momentum. Yet when Election Day arrived, the outcome told a very different story. That's the point being made here. Rally energy and actual voter support are not the same thing. Headlines don't equal ballots, and if Democrats keep mistaking hype for real electability, they risk repeating the same mistake.
Love AOC. People love Jasmine Crockett. People love Eric Swalwell and the like. And I think that the Democratic Party should put the people out there who the people want. They should put the politicians out there who the people want, who they're asking for, who are meeting the moment with the same energy that
they're not asking for AOC.
Yes, they are.
The people you party with
No. The people I party with don't like AOC.
Oh, please.
No, they don't at all.
Well, most people don't.
The harsh reality Bill Maher points out is this. While Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez enjoys strong support within Democratic circles, that popularity doesn't translate as effectively to the broader electorate. Most Democrats do like her, which is why she can draw large, energetic crowds and generate a sense of movement and enthusiasm at rallies. But outside that base, the reaction is often far more mixed. Maher's argument is that the issue is largely ideological. In his view, many voters see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as too far to the left and closely associated with messaging and policies that don't always connect with everyday concerns. To her critics, she represents a style of politics tied to progressive activism and woke framing, which can alienate moderates and independent voters. Whether that perception is fair or not, it becomes a real challenge in a national election. Maher's warning is simple but direct. Energizing the base is one thing, but winning the middle is what ultimately decides elections.
Doesn't mean that she was set down in Hispanic ghetto in the Bronx and had to deal with that growing up, and that she's comes from a working class family.
It implies that in some way she's behind the eight ball because of that, and it's just not true. And so
I don't know if she's behind the eight ball, but I don't think she's as privileged as many people who are in Congress right now.
Is that privileged or not? She was a bartender.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a delivery boy.
But I'm saying sometimes, Bill, you don't agree with Donald Trump's policies.
No.
But that's what the people want.
Some of them.
Whether you like her or not, I don't like what she did with Amazon in New York, but I think AOC she's a Democratic icon.
Well, she's the wrong. If you think that's the direction the country, the Democratic.
I'm not saying.
During one exchange, Don Lemon pushes the idea that AOC's likability should count for something, but Bill Maher shuts that argument down quickly. In his view, being popular isn't the same as being ready to lead. He argues that the real focus should always be on policy and direction, what a candidate actually stands for and what they plan to do if elected. Voters, he suggests, don't simply choose who they like, they choose who they trust to govern. Maher also points to the last election as an example, saying Kamala Harris had genuine public appeal, but critics still questioned where she stood politically, whether as a moderate or more progressive. According to this view, that uncertainty created hesitation among voters, and in a tight race, even small doubts can end up making a big difference.
People will vote for AOC and Donald Trump on the same ticket because they're authentic. No, because they're authentic.
I don't think that, Don.
I think you're wrong about that.
What people like about people like Trump and
That's
Fetterman
phony.
is because it's irrelevant to her life.
But you don't know her life.
I know that being a gorgeous woman who I wouldn't even know was Hispanic in a city that has 1 million Hispanics and does not treat them badly.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't struggle. That doesn't mean that she was set down.
Maher also goes after AOC's personal narrative, especially the well-known bartender story. For years, it has been repeated as a symbol of her working-class roots, but Maher suggests it comes across more like a carefully shaped image than a fully raw or unfiltered reflection of her background. And this is where, in his view, things become risky. Today's voters are more skeptical and quicker to pick up on anything that feels staged or overly polished. If people start to believe a candidate is performing a role rather than simply being themselves, the backlash can be immediate and strong. Maher's point is blunt. You can't manufacture authenticity. When it looks like you're trying to, it doesn't just fall flat, it can actively push people away. In politics, trust is everything, and once that trust is damaged, it becomes extremely difficult to rebuild.
She espouses that's the direction, but I'm saying that you have to give the people who are out front speaking for the party, not the people who are.
If you think
she's evolving,
yeah, she's evolving,
and
as we all are,
and she is moving into She understands the game a little bit more, and if you notice, she is sort of becoming a sort of normal kind of Democrat in many ways. Yes. I think she's evolving.
Okay, great.
She's a very smart tactic.
She's great.
One of Bill Maher's biggest concerns, according to his commentary, is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hasn't really evolved with the changing political landscape. Voter priorities have shifted, but he argues she's still closely tied to the same progressive messaging that first brought her national attention. In his view, that becomes a potential liability in a general election. Her positions on immigration and her association with democratic socialist ideas are often cited by critics as being outside the political mainstream, which could alienate the moderate and independent voters Democrats typically need to win nationwide. Maher's point is straightforward. Leading a party isn't just about energizing your base, it's about expanding your reach, and he doesn't see her making that shift.
Bernie Sanders' rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids.
Maher also brings up a moment that drew significant attention at a rally, where a Palestinian flag was draped over an American flag and the crowd reacted positively, while Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez did not publicly push back at the time. In Maher's view, that kind of silence matters. In a highly charged political environment, he argues that not addressing moments like that still sends a message, whether it's intentional or not. Critics say it raises broader questions about priorities and where a candidate's focus truly lies. And in a national election, every gesture, reaction, and even silence gets closely examined. The argument, as Maher frames it, is simple. When voters start questioning a candidate's position on something as fundamental as national identity, uncertainty grows. And in politics, that uncertainty can ultimately be the deciding factor between winning and losing.
James Carville knew how to win, and he blamed the Democratic losses this November 2nd on stupid wokeness, to which AOC fired back that wokeness is a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. So that should tell you all you need to know. What? This is a term folks like you brought out very recently. and had been proudly displaying it every March since. Just last year, The Guardian declared woke the word of our era. I guess they didn't get the memo from the Mean Girls Club. We don't use that emoji anymore. Woke, please, we say fetch now.
Not long ago, AOC and her allies openly embraced the term woke as a badge of identity. Loud, proud, and central to their messaging. But the political climate has shifted, and that same label has increasingly become a liability. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appears more willing to distance herself from it. Bill Maher, however, isn't convinced it represents a real change. In his view, the terminology may have softened, but the underlying policies and positions haven't meaningfully shifted. He frames it less as a transformation and more as a rebranding, something voters can usually see through. For many already skeptical of progressive politics, changing the label doesn't change their perception of what it represents. His point is blunt. You can drop the word, but you can't easily drop the reputation attached to it, and in a national campaign, perception tends to matter most.
Every month I see a new poll reporting how much Latinos despise the woke term Latinx. It's about as popular with them as a reboot of Speedy Gonzales. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid.
And then there's the Latinx debate. Polls have repeatedly shown that a large portion of Latino communities either don't identify with the term or actively reject it. Yet Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has defended it in the past, describing language as fluid and constantly evolving. Bill Maher sees that as a contradiction. In his framing, while she appears to be stepping back from terms like woke because of political backlash, she is still associated with defending language choices that many of the people they're meant to represent don't actually use or prefer. To some voters, that disconnect can come across as tone-deaf, as if a political figure is prescribing identity rather than reflecting how communities describe themselves. Maher's broader critique is that when there's a visible gap between what politicians promote and what people on the ground actually feel or want, it gradually erodes trust and credibility.
It's what's so odd about this time that we're living in. For all the talk about fighting for the soul of America, nobody seems to like it very much. Too many liberals give the impression that to them, America is just a big, ugh. The red, white, and ew. A country that started out bad and will always be bad, founded on an unrelenting history of suck and unable to change. But we have changed a lot. Democrat Cori Bush tweeted, "This land is stolen land and black people still aren't free." And this was on the 4th of July. Really. Not that I give a shit about the 4th of July. I've never been a rah-rah guy. But I am a perspective guy. And that's what too much of the left has lost, perspective.
No one dismisses her ability to draw attention, fill venues, or inspire loyal supporters. In fact, that's a big part of what makes her politically powerful. She knows how to command a room, drive conversation, and stay at the center of the national spotlight. But Bill Maher's point is that popularity inside a movement is not the same as popularity across an entire country. There's a clear difference between energizing the base and persuading the middle, and that difference is often where elections are decided. He argues that while maybe highly effective at energizing people who already agree with her, she is far less effective when it comes to reassuring the voters who actually determine national outcomes. In his view, the issue goes beyond personality and touches deeper factors like ideology, messaging, tone, and public perception. From concerns about authenticity to debates over political language and progressive framing, he believes many mainstream voters see a style of politics that can feel more performative than persuasive. The broader warning, as he frames it, is that elections are not won on applause alone. They aren't decided by social media momentum, viral moments, or polished branding. They're won on trust, clarity, consistency, and the ability to connect with everyday voters who may not follow political discourse closely. When people begin questioning a candidate's authenticity, beliefs, or consistency, doubt starts to build, and in politics, that doubt can quietly erode a campaign long before Election Day. His final takeaway is blunt. Unless AOC broadens her appeal and directly addresses these perceptions, she risks remaining what she is today, highly visible, influential, and powerful within her base, but not necessarily fully electable on a national stage.